Hi, welcome to today's code snippet challenge. Right now, you're viewing the code snippet that I've shared today on my Telegram channel. So this is being my second video on top of the code snippet explanation. So this particular code snippet focuses on array list and its functionalities like addition and removal of elements. And we are going to iterate the collections in order to print the value out of it. So this is what this particular code snippet is all about. But logically, there are many things that we need to understand from the functionality of the array list. So let's go straight into the IDE and see line by line of understanding this code snippet, and we gain more expanded knowledge on the areas of array list functionalities as well. So let's step into the IDE, and I'm going to create a specific class called ESG which is same name that we have in the code snippet. Let's switch on with main method, and the very first line that we are going to have here. So if you notice, actually in my code snippet I'm not using the square brackets, rather I'm using 3 dots. So I just wanted to give you a slight understanding on this because many people might be new to this snippet of code. So what we need to understand here is in place of square bracket, we can use the triple dot syntax, which denotes that it is a variable arguments. Shortly it will be called as varargs. Okay, so what this varargs does is it's going to replace the array style of syntax, so that technically what it means is you can pass on array of value to this. That is what it means. So you can just say string dot 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 and args. So it is equivalent to the array style of snippet, but in order to have multiple arguments here, you can replace that with single argument style of code, but it accepts multiple arguments of type string. So let's say, for example, when we are calling this main method, we can pass multiple arguments of type string. That is what this vararg means. So we'll understand this more in detail as we come up with more code snippets later. But right now, I just wanted to point out this. In place of the square bracket, we can replace that with 3 dots symbol, which denotes that it is a variable arguments. Okay, which means you can pass any number of arguments to the main method that should be of type string. That's what it means. Okay, so let's straight away get into the creation of array list object, which is a type of collection in Java. So array list, and this array list is going to come from the util package. So you can notice that you have the java.util, which means that this array list is part of this particular package. So util basically used for collection usages. We can use it for list, we can use it for set, we can use it for hash map. So a lot of other classes and interfaces are residing inside this util package. Okay, probably most of you might be aware of it. So right now we are using a list type of collection. Okay, and it is an array list. So list has a different type of classes. So we have array list here. Right now in the code snippet, what we are using is array list, and the syntax what you're seeing here is generics. So this array list is going to carry a specific generic type of data in it. So according to the code snippet, we are going to forward this generics as string type. So this collection will only carry the string of values. That is what it means. So we go ahead and give a generic type called string, and the variable name is seasons equals new array list of, and again a generics there, where we, according to the code snippet, I have just mentioned string, but we don't need to use that string again here. So we can just go ahead with the diamond operator, empty diamond operator, because starting from Java 7 onwards, there's no need for using the string type over here. So what it does is compiler will type inference here. Okay, it can infer the type in this diamond operator that considering it to be a string. So it's one time attempt of providing the generic type is more sufficient. We don't need to provide the string here. But as per the code snippet I have given, nothing harm in it. So it's more brief that it's exactly a string type of collections. Okay, so we have created this array list. But before we go on with further lines of code as per the code snippet, I just wanted to give you a basic understanding of what are the functionalities that is going to be used in this array list for this code snippet. The one is we are going to use add. Okay, we have an add method. So I'm taking you to the documentation of the array list. So you can notice that I've connected to the docs.oracle.com, right? So here specifically I've taken the class called array list. So array list is a class, and here we are going to explore on a specific method called add method. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the add method functionality. So here where the list of methods are available, let's zoom in and see what it is defined as. So if you notice here, there is an add method. Okay, typically it is overloaded method. So there are two add method in this class called array list. So array list contains two add method in it. One add method carries only an element. Another add method carries an index, which is an integer type, and an element. So when you are using an array list to add a value into that list, you can use add method. Either it can be only with the element, or you can use it with an index and with an element. So now we need to notice that what's the difference between them. So the first add method, which only accepts the element, okay, is going to return a boolean type. Another add method which accepts an index positioning and the element value is going to be returning a value of void. So what is the definition behind these add methods? Add method with just an element appends the specified element to the end of the list. Notice that when you are using this add method just to add a value into the list, it's going to add the value at the end of the list usually. Okay, even if it's the first time, that's going to be the end of the list for it. So if you add some 10 values, each value will be appended on the end of the list. So E means it's element, okay, element value. You're going to pass the element value into it. The next add method is carrying an index position where you want to place the element. So it inserts the specified element at the specified position that you mention. So let's say, for example, you want to add a element into a position called number 3. So you can point that third index. Literally it means it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 4 and 5. So index always starts with 0, and that's applicable even for collection type, not only for array. Even in collections, we manipulate the collections by using an indexing position starting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this, I want to place a particular element on the index number 3, or the position number 3 means 0, 1, 2, 3. So I want to place it here, right? So if you have such use cases, then you're going to use the second style of add method, which takes the argument as an index and as well as the element. So in our code snippet, what we are using is the second style of add method. Okay, I was not using the first style because usually when you look at any collection based programs in Java, either a list or array list that you use, you will be seeing that they will be using an add method directly passing on the element value instead of using the index. But there are multiple use cases where we can think of using the second style of add method, which takes an index as a position and then the value. So according to this documentation's definitions, let's go further and understand how this addition is going to work. So I'm using a seasons object, which is nothing but the array list variable, and in this seasons I'm going to use the second style of add method, and in this add method I'm going to position the value to the first index, okay, which is going to carry a value of spring. And similarly, let's go ahead and capture the other values as well. Sorry. So let's go ahead. Control C. So as per the code snippet, I gave 4 different season types. Okay. The first one starts with spring, another one starts with summer, and third one with autumn, and fourth one was winter. Now we need to position them. So I'm going to use 2, 3, and 4, right? Now, if you notice, the style of add method that we are using is 2 argumented add method, okay, from the array list class. So the first argument is all about your index, and the second argument talks about the element value. Okay, now what it means here is starting from first index. So your indexing position would look like this. Let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now where the spring is is getting pointed is to the index number 1, and summer is index number 2, autumn is index number 3, and winter is index number 4. Now what happens to this index position 0? There where the question comes, and that's the tricky of this particular snippet of code. Okay, I intentionally avoided providing the index position of 0, okay, and directly started to provide 1, 2, 3, 4, starting from the index of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we are going to see how this this addition of elements can be supported by the array list. So let's go ahead and observe that. Now what I'm trying to do is, let's go ahead and do an iteration by using the for loop. But before this for each loop, I was actually trying to do a line of code which is going to help us in removing a particular index of value. So means I was trying to remove a particular element, okay, in the specific index. So right now I'm not doing the removal. Let's go ahead and try to iterate this collection. So I'm going to use a for each style of iteration. So let's go ahead and say declaring a string variable of s pointing to a season variable. So seasons is the collection, and inside this let's go ahead and provide a sysout, and in the sysout it was s concatenated with comma and a space, and moreover it was not with ln, so I don't want to place a new line. Okay, it's just need to print them without adding the new line. So I'm going to use a print method instead of println. Now what is missing compared to the code snippet? Okay, if you look at the code snippet is carrying a seasons.remove of 2. This I'm not using right now. Okay, so without that, let me go ahead and run this program. So I'm trying to iterate the value of this array list and trying to print it on my console screen. But if you notice that this particular iteration is ending up with an it's not just about the iteration alone. We are ending up with an exception. Okay, and the exception says that index out of bounds exception. Okay, where the further investigation says that index 1 and size 0. Okay, index 1, size 0. So initially what happens is, the array list, when the object is created, its size is going to be 0, and you're going to add the element. Okay, when you add the elements will be added automatically from the indexing of 0. But here we are using the second style of add method. In that case, the first argument need to be pointed with an index. We are not pointing the index to 0. We are directly pointing it to 1. Means we are not considering the 0th index. So you cannot go to a first index initially, because the indexing starts with 0 and the size is 0. So when the size is 0 and the indexing is 1, then literally you're going out of the bounds of exception. Okay, so array size seems to be 0, so your indexing should be started from 0. When you're starting the indexing from 0, then this index out of bounds exception will not occur. And moreover, if you are using the first style of add method without this indexing parameter, then by default automatically all these values will be added into the collections in an appropriate indexing positions like 0, 1, 2 and 3. But what we have done here is, instead of using the first style of add method, we are using the second style of add method, which takes two parameters. One is the index, another one is your element value. And in the index parameter, we haven't provided the correct indexing position starting from 0. And that's the reason that it is ending up with an index out of bounds exception. So when I try to when I'm trying to use this for loop, I'm not able to get the output. Let me try commenting this. So right now I'm not trying to use this for loop. So without this, let's go ahead and run the program and let's see what's the output is going to be. Again the same. So the exception is not occurring at the time of iteration. The exception occurs at the time of adding your element to a specific index. Okay. So let's say I'm going to start with 0, right? So if my positioning starts with 0, that is indexing of 0, still there is a problem because you are skipping the indexing position of 1, right? So we need to give a proper indexing positions. You cannot skip any of the indexing in between. So 0, 1, 2 and 3. So when you start with the correct indexing positions, and if you try to run this program, now the exception doesn't occur. The reason the exception doesn't occur is it's because we have given a proper indexing order here, 0, 1, 2 and 3. And now if you try to iterate them, you will be able to get the exact output. So spring, summer, autumn and winter is printed. So what it means? It means that when you are using the second style of add method, your indexing position should start from 0. And now let's think of adding the removal method, seasons dot remove, and in that remove it's prompting for an index. Okay, you can provide the 0th index or first index or second index. So according to the code snippet, I gave second index to be removed. So if you run this program now, you'll be able to see only spring, summer and winter, and autumn is not printed right now. The reason autumn is not printed, it's because before iterating them, okay, I removed the element indexing position of 2. Okay, then I'm trying to iterate the array list, and this time I'm getting only 3 values because we removed the indexing position of 0. So in my code snippet, I gave the indexing position starting from 0. So according to the code snippet, the outcome will be an exception. It's not going to print any of the values of the spring, summer or autumn. Instead, it's going to raise an exception. So if you see, now again we are coming back to the same story that it's index out of bounds exception. So whenever you add an element, you ensure that you're adding the element to the indexing starting from 0. If you are using the second style of indexing, second style of add method, which carries 2 parameters in it. One is the indexing, another one is the element value. Now the same thing, right now you can see there is an exception. Now instead of using this index, okay, let's use the first style of add method, and let's straight away run this program and see if we are going to get any exception or we are going to get the desired output. It's giving a desired output of spring, summer and winter. Spring, summer and winter, and in between the autumn is removed already. And when you try to iterate using the for each loop, we are able to capture the 3 values that are residing inside the collections of array list seasons post removal of the indexing position 2. Now we are not ending with any of the problems here. Why? It's because we have removed, okay, we have removed the removed the indexing parameters. So we are using the first style of add method. This is the first style of add method that we are using, which doesn't need any indexing positions, automatically this will be considered when the array list is going to be, it's going to grow up, right? As and when you keep adding the values, it's keep on growing. So spring, summer, autumn will kept added into the list, and the indexing position will be automatically started from 0, 1, 2 and 3. So that's how this program would work. If in case you are using the indexing, please ensure that you are providing the correct position. Okay, fine. Now after removal, let's say for example I'm using again the seasons dot add. Okay, and now I'm saying this time I'm going to use two parameters. So already it's 0, 1, 2, 3 is there. Now somewhere in this first position, okay, I'm going to say let's say fall, a season called fall. Okay, so let's see what's going to happen in this, right? I've already added the elements 0, 1, 2, 3, and the second indexing got removed, and again I'm trying to add it into the first index, that is 0, 1, where the index value is going to be fall. So let's see what's the output of this. So now if you notice that we are getting 4 values. So what is happening here? We already have 4 values, spring, summer, autumn and winter, and in between I'm trying to remove the second index, that is 0, 1, 2, 3. So 2 is autumn, autumn is removed. So after which I'm trying to use add method, this time with argument of index and as well as the element value. So what this add will do is, so right now after removal of this, okay, the positioning is going to be 0, 1, 2. So that's how the positioning stands here. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add one, the index number 1, which will take fall. So what happens here is, you can see spring is already there, okay, that is 0th index, and in the first index it's pushing the value of fall, okay, and you still have the summer in place. So summer is moved into index position of 2, and winter is moved into the index position of 3. Okay, so what this does is, this is not going to replace your value, it's not going to replace your technically it's not going to replace your summer. Instead it's going to append the value into the specific index of 1 and push the remaining value to the next indexes like 2 and 3. Okay, because if you look back to the documentation, it's very clearly mentioned, okay, it's very clearly mentioned that this add methods, okay, if you see, this first add method is appending the specified element to the end of the list. This add method is inserts the specified element at the specified position. So it's trying to insert. So when it is trying to insert, it inserts on the specific index that you offer with a new value, and the rest of the values will be pushed to the adjacent indexing orders. So you need to think of in which use case we can use this second style of add method, and in which use case we can use the first style of add method. So literally for the initial time of adding the elements into the collection, we better go for the first style. Later, if you want to keep inserting new values into a specific indexing position of the list, then you better go for using the second style of add method. But if you are still using the second style of add method at the initial time itself, then you be careful that you need to start your indexing positions starting from 0, 1, 2 and 3. If you give an irrelevant indexing position, then we will be ending up with an index out of bounds exception. I hope I gave a better clarity on this particular code snippet, how this code snippet got manipulated initially, and what was the trick on the code, and now we are able to we are able to derive the actual reason that why it ended up with an exception. Okay, so thank you so much, and we'll connect up in the next code snippet challenge. Thank you all.